Hello everyone, this is Chris, and today I'm going to walk you through a basic tutorial of the Diamond Dynasty mode within MLB The Show 21. Now I know it's a little bit late in the season with the playoffs just starting, but I know a few people that have reached out and said that they wanted to get into this game mode but felt a little overwhelmed by it, didn't know where to start. So I thought I would make this video and hopefully it'll help somebody out there and maybe get them into this mode as well. So first question that needs to be answered: what is Diamond Dynasty? And it is basically an ultimate team style game mode that you would find in, say, Madden or FIFA or NBA 2K, where you build a team of players from packs or different objectives that you can do, and you basically build a dream team. For some examples, you'll see people building a squad based around players from their favorite team, or maybe all one team or a different era, whereas I just like to pick the players that I enjoy playing with the most. You see my team there on the screen. I haven't paid anything other than what I had to pay for the initial investment of the MVP edition, and other than that I haven't bought stubs or anything like that. And you see I've got a few 99s on my screen there. I did the 99 overall Miguel Cabrera, who's sitting at third base. He is actually from a program that you can do for free right now, and he's pretty, I'd say he takes a little bit of time to get, but it's not too hard. Now I'm going to also go over several different facets of this game mode, such as managing, customizing your team, the programs, the single player modes, Conquest, which is also a single player mode, as well as the moments. A brief summarization of the online modes, which I am no expert at, but I can at least give you a brief breakdown of what you'll expect to see there. Collections and exchanges, as well as the marketplace and buying packs or earning them. I will also kind of give a good idea of where to start within this game, as like I said, it can be a little overwhelming, so having a good place to start is always helpful. The first main part of this video will be managing and customizing your team. In order to do so, you'll start out in the leftmost tab, which is the default tab when you start Diamond Dynasty mode. You'll go into Manage Squad here, and then you'll see at the very top you have 4 different lineups that you can create. Now I have my main squad, my objective squad, and my beak squad, which is my Cardinals team, which isn't complete yet because the season hasn't ended yet, and they're releasing more players. They actually just released a 99 overall Tyler O'Neill, who is the player of the month. I still have yet to get him, but I'm sure once I get him, he'll be a lot of fun to use in my lineup. So I'm going to go and build this team from the ground up. So say you wanted to build your squad. You would tab over to Create New Squad with the R1 button, and then you would just create New Squad, unless you wanted to duplicate one of your other teams. So I'm going to create a new squad. I'm just going to call it Beak because that's a funny word. It's one of my favorite words. So there you go. So then what you can do is go to your squad options by pressing the options button or the start button on your Xbox One controller, which I'm not sure what the start button's called. It's like the one with the 3 lines, I think. So you can generate the best squad, which is going to give you what the computer thinks will be your best team based on overall and things of that nature. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to just have a generated best lineup and pitching rotation. And I guess that's it, apparently. So that's our so whenever you create a new lineup, it looks like it creates a best overall. So say you wanted to change your players on your team, you can actually click on a player, and then it's going to recommend players of that position, and it's going to be scaled from overall highest to lowest. But then once you're in this menu, once you've clicked X on a player, you can also bring up some filters by hitting square. Now when you hit square, you can actually go through and sort overalls. You can set a threshold for righties or lefties, which team you want, which is going to help you with your daily objectives if you want to end up doing those. I try not to because they really don't offer much in terms of rewards, but I'll go over that later. Sets and series. So yeah, you can really customize your team however you like by using these filters. And like I said, you can have up to 4 lineups. And there's also, you'll notice some of these players have like a Roman numeral 1. And if you go back over here to the Beak squad, you're going to see some 2s and some 3s. Now that's what's called the parallel system, and I'll show you the player card. So any of these players that you have in your lineup, you can press triangle, and it'll show you all sorts of information like their attributes, And you can scroll over one by pressing R1, and you'll see the parallel system. So the parallel system is the more you play with a certain player and you get plate appearances or innings pitched or something to that degree, you'll start earning some experience points, so to speak, and you'll gain levels by doing that. And you can level them up to level 5, and you see the number there next to the Roman numeral 3 on that card to the top left. And there's a number there, 212 of 530, which means I was the 212th person out of 530 people to achieve that level with this card. Now, I do have one that I'm the number 1 out of like 3 people that have done it, because it's not a great pitcher. But you can see that it's kind of a neat little addition to the game. In addition, whenever you do level up, say you level up level 1 from no level at all. Once you hit level 1, you get 1 attribute point extra to all of your attributes. So 2 will get you 2 for each attribute, 3, and so on. So it's actually worthwhile if you really want to get your 97 Lars Nootbaar up to a 99 overall. You can level him up. As well as you can also tab over a little bit, and you can see some stats there. How many games your players play, their batting average, and you can get some advanced stats, how much they're selling for on the marketplace, some of their quirks, which are basically special abilities that card might have over others. I don't really know a whole lot about a lot of those, but I'm sure if you did your research, you could find quite a bit of information on those quirks. And then you can find out where that card can be found, whether it's on the market, whether it's a certain pack, or whether it's in a player program, which this one was in a Moments program, which I'll go over those later, of course. In addition to managing your squad, you can also customize your team by changing the name and details of your team, by changing your team colors, your city name, all that good stuff, editing your uniforms and your equipment and your logos, and you can actually go to Logo Vault and see what other people have actually created. What I typically like to do, as far as my uniforms though, just so I have a nice clean uniform, is I will attach a major league or a minor league uniform to my team. My favorite team to go with is the Rocket City Trash Pandas. I've been using them for about 3 years now, maybe 2. But if you play the game enough, you'll end up getting some uniforms just by playing the game. But you can also buy them through the marketplace, which it's pretty easy. I'll go over the marketplace later on as well. But as you see here, you can tab by each team, see what kind of uniform you want. You can use L2 and R2 to go through their different minor league teams, just to see the kind of uniforms you want to use. And then if you want to use a custom logo for your team, I usually would just download one from the vault, search for the team that I want, and just kind of assign that to my team. The next part of Diamond Dynasty that I'm going to cover is the main part of Diamond Dynasty, and that is the single player modes, the programs, as well as the online modes. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to the online modes, so I'm only going to briefly cover them. There are other YouTube channels out there that cover the online modes, and they do daily content based on those. My favorite channel is Kevin God. He does a lot of funny online games that he plays against other people, but I'm not very great at this game, so I don't really play online a whole lot. The first program that you'll see are the inning programs, and those refresh every month. Well, typically every month. Usually it's about 25 days long. And so right now we're on the 7th inning program, which expires in about 8 days. And so you go into this, and there are several ways that you can level up in the 7th inning program. And the most important way too is, well, just playing the game. You play the game, you'll level up just by gaining experience, just by, getting home runs, getting base hits. You get experience for every little thing you do in the game. So that's one way of leveling up. There's also collections that you can do, where if you earn recent player programs that have released, you can add those to these collections, which I don't have any of these yet because I haven't really started. I've been recovering from surgery, so I haven't really been playing these too much. But like I said, you got the Tyler O'Neill that just came out this month, and if you collect 3 of these players from this program, the monthly rewards program, which I'll kind of cover briefly, you can get some experience, 20,000 experience, I believe. You can also do Conquest maps, which I'm going to cover as well, and those will get you the experience that you need. And those will populate, they'll give you your experience automatically once you finish, so you don't have to do anything special. These collections, you do have to actually add the players manually to these sets. So you'll click on this, and then you'll add it, and then hit the options button, and then it'll add it to your collection, and that'll give you your experience. Now once you do that, they'll become non-sellable, so just keep that in mind. Once you actually start climbing the ranks here in these inning programs, you'll start getting to 100,000, which you'll get a choice pack. You'll get a 94 or 93 overall player, and you get to choose which one you go for. If you end up liking multiple players, you can pick one and then buy the other off the marketplace. These are sellable cards, which is great. That's what makes this game way better than Madden. You can actually get 99 overalls for free and sell them for in-game currency. So you can't do that in Madden or probably any other of those games. So that's, and then once you get to 350,000 experience, you'll get Hank Aaron, Spencer Torkelson, or Tony Gwynn, and you get to pick which one you want. And it's awesome. I love this game mode. So as you see, I'm kind of almost to the point where once you get topped out at 650,000 experience, you'll get a 90 plus overall player. That just requires playing the game a lot. And there are some exploits that you can use to get more experience, but there are other channels for that. I would recommend, again, Big Tom K22. He's a good channel. I'll put his link in the description, and you can check his channel out. He covers a lot of the day-to-day updates of the game and how to actually gain experience quickly. He's got a great channel for that. Other programs you can do include player programs, and those allow you to get players for free just by completing certain objectives, or there are different moments that you can do for them, and I'll go over some of these with you real quick. So Miguel Cabrera is one that I did recently, and so there are different stages to it. So you end up getting his silver player, and then you have to do certain things with his silver player, like actually get hits with him and things like that. And then you'll go to this moments tab, and then you can do these little moments where it's like tally a hit or get a home run, and then there'll be different stages to it because it's an evolution of his career. It's kind of following his career. So you'll get a 75 overall silver, an 87 overall diamond, and then finally you'll get your 99 overall diamond once you've completed it, which I have him in my lineup. And some of them just have different objectives. You just kind of have to click around in here and see what you have to do and just focus on one player at a time. I wouldn't try to do multiples at the same time just because you kind of get overwhelmed. But I would just find a player you want to do his program, because some of them, they'll have you do extra base hits and things like that, things of that nature. Some of them will have you beat a team on all-star difficulty. There's just so many different things you can do to get those 98, 99s. You just got to follow what it says to do in the program itself. Another type of program, and these are my favorite programs, they're the Team Affinity programs. Now these are pretty intricate programs with a lot going on in them. So the best thing that I could recommend to a new player is, if you've gained enough stubs just by playing the game, is just going on the marketplace, which I'll kind of give you a little rundown of how to do so later on, and buying up silver players from each division, and just buying like one player in bulk. And each of these programs, when you go into them, they'll have a section for exchanges where you can exchange players from each of these divisions, and they progressively provide you with greater Team Affinity rewards. So they work the Team Affinity points act this kind of like the experience points do, where the further up you go as far as Team Affinity points, the more rewards you're going to get. You're going to be able to do plate appearances, total bases, and those objectives that you do with hits from certain players from this division, you'll be able to get Team Affinity points for. So in this case, you could get online hits if you wanted to play online modes. If you wanted to get AL East player hits, you could get 5 affinity points for every 30 hits you get online. But since I play offline, I just do the Ks with the flashbacks and legends, total bases, things of that nature. And as you play with players from that division, you'll just eventually get those points. But I would recommend trading in some silvers first, because that'll get you halfway through with the program, maybe about a third of the way, actually, since it's 150, and you'll get about 50% of the way through. And as you go along, you'll unlock players So you'll get these choice packs where you can pick one of 5 players here that are really high overall. You want to pick only one of each because you're only going to get 5 of these packs as you do the program, and you can't sell these players anyway, and you have to do the objectives. You don't have to do the objectives, but you'll want to because it'll be easy to complete them, and it'll get you team affinity points to get you more of these players. So that's the best way to do it. You just get one of each. You start out with whatever player you think you can do their objectives. So say you get this Adley Rutschman, and you can go to these missions here, and so his mission is you got to get 5 extra base hits with him for 5 affinity points. So I think he was the last player I unlocked, so I never actually had to do that. But if you do that, if you pick him, that's going to be your mission. Total bases with Boggs, if you get the Boggs, you know, and so on and so forth. And that's how you're going to be able to earn these affinity points to unlock all of these players. But by the time you're done with all these, you're going to have a whole team of 99s and 98s and 97s. And there's 4 series of these, so you can go through and do all of them. And even in the season 1, you're probably still going to get some pretty good players that you wouldn't have normally. So let's take a look here. Let's see. I'm trying to find out where their guys are. Oh, so the first one you only get the 42 program, which are 88 overalls. So you might not want to do season 1, but season 2, I'm pretty sure has some pretty good players. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you get some pretty good players here just from doing season 2. And then there's, I think there's even more good players that you can get. So here you would get a 94 or 93 or a 95, which is better than you would normally get anyway. So yeah, doing these affinity programs is a good way to get some good players for pretty easy. Another type of program you can do is the monthly awards program, which allows you to get a high overall player at the end of a program where you basically complete objectives and you work your kind of way up through the best players of that month. So for example, we'll say August, because I think I've done most of August, if not all. Nope, I have not. But we'll just go through and see here. So with these programs, you'll want to load up your team with a bunch of Tops Now players that you can get in the Tops Now moments, which I'll cover here in a minute. But you'll just load up your team with Tops Now players and get extra base hits, total bases, and strikeouts, things of that nature, which will unlock these guys up here, these players up here, which will unlock more objectives for you to do. So once you unlock those other players, they'll have you'll put them in your lineup and you'll get 10 total bases with them, or 10 total bases or Ks with them. Sometimes you'll have to hit home runs with them, and that'll give you a little bit of progress in this program. So they're kind of like a team affinity program, but instead of having TA as the points or the experience points, you have M as in moments points, I guess, or I'm sorry, yeah, monthly awards points, I guess you would call them. But yeah, there's moments you can do in those as well as collections. But the collection you won't be able to finish until the end, until you've collected all the players anyway. So that's just going to be, you'll get to 85, and then, which you need 100 points to finish it off, but you'll get to 85, and then you'll be able to complete the collection and then get that last 15 points you see there. So the quickest way to get cards, I think good cards pretty easily without having to use your team to do so, is your daily moments. So your daily moments are moments that are released every day, of course, but they release them to where you don't have to complete them every day. You can complete 3 at a time. So if I completed these 3, then the next one would open up tomorrow, and usually they open up, see, around 11 o'clock in the morning. So as you go along, each day that you play and each day that you do these moments, and usually it's something quick like get a strikeout or get 3 strikeouts, pitch 1 inning and don't allow a hit, hit a home run, get a hit, get 2 hits in a game, something like that, where your player locked to a certain player. That's typically what those moments are, and they usually take you about 5 to 10 minutes to do. I've had some minutes take me less than 2 minutes to do. But as you go along through these programs, you'll get free packs. You'll get players, like just by doing 14 days, you get an 88 overall that you get to choose from. Eventually, once you do 25 days, you get Jim Thome, a 99 overall for free. I love this game. It's so great. And then you get, later on, you get big bundles of 10 packs, 2 of the headliner packs. You get a choice pack where you can get a 98 through a 95 overall. You know, you can get the Field of Dreams pack where you can get a 95 through a 99. So just playing these daily moments do add up, and they do actually provide you worthwhile rewards. So that's just something to keep in mind. And they're super easy to do. Another form of moments that you can do, you just go into your moments here, the single player here, the moments, and you would go to your Tops Now. Tops Now are released every week, and they're based on the real life moments that happen, in baseball games throughout the league. And if a player has a really good game, chances are they'll have a Tops Now card in real life, and they'll put that card in the game. So you play through these moments where you might have to play something on rookie where, see, you got 6 innings to hit 1 home run and don't make an out, or win 1 game, hit 1 home run, strike out a certain number of batters. These usually take about an hour to an hour and a half to do, and you typically get between 5 or 7 players, diamond players to pick from, and you can pick 2 of them. And it's just really easy to do in about an hour and a half, and you can knock out, you get really good players on your team pretty quickly. So I definitely recommend doing the Tops Now moments, even though I'm not practicing what I'm preaching because I haven't done them in like 3 weeks. So I really need to get back on that, but I've been recovering from surgery, and that's my excuse. Some player programs might require you to do a showdown for them. And showdown mode is a pretty interesting mode where you draft a team and go through a series of challenges and face bosses along the way. There's also the Run It Back program, which I didn't mention before, but that's a good way to get diamond players pretty easily. I'll go over that when it comes to the Conquest mode, because there's also a Conquest mode that's probably easier than doing the Showdown, to be honest with you. There's also the 7th inning Showdown, like I mentioned before, and certain players do have them, as well as the Affinities you can do. You don't necessarily have to do the Team Affinities ones, but if you're good enough at the game and you feel comfortable in doing those, go right on ahead. I would not stop you. And I find Showdown to be fun sometimes, but it can be frustrating if you don't have great plate discipline, but it can also teach you great plate discipline, and it did that for me last year. So for example, I'm going to just go into the 7th inning program here, and it's going to have you draft a team. And once you draft that team, you're going to go through a series of challenges, and each time you do a challenge, you're going to gain runs. So at the end of the game, you're going to face a final boss. And these red sections here are bosses. So you're going to have a mid-tier boss and then a final boss. And each of these little blue spots is going to give you runs. And the final boss might require you to score 15 or 20 runs to beat them. Well, technically you'll have to score more than 15 or 20. You'd have to score 16 or 21 runs to defeat them. But as you play the game along the way, you're going to gain runs by completing these little moments here. There's going to be little moments where you might have to play an inning and strike out all 3 batters, or you might have to score, a run in 2 innings, or hit 2 extra base hits in 3 innings, or something crazy like that. And each time you pass one of those, you get like a run or 2. If you don't, then you just don't get the run. But if you fail this first boss here, you have to start all over again, which will be a mini boss. But once you get to the final boss, which will be against a good pitcher, it will calculate all the runs that you've earned by the moments that you've succeeded in, and it'll put it against that 15 or 20 run total that you're required to beat that boss with. So say you earn 11 runs and you need 15, then you would only need 5 runs to beat that boss, and they give you between, I believe, 15 and 25 outs to do so. So it's really not that daunting. You just have to have good plate discipline, and that's the best thing that I can stress to you, that just have good plate discipline, practice on it, and draft players with high power, because you're going to want to hit dingers. The last single player mode in Diamond Dynasty that I'm going to cover is Conquest mode, and it's my favorite mode in Diamond Dynasty. You'll just go in there and you'll see that there's a bunch of maps that you can pick from. I would recommend doing these Team Affinity maps if you want to finish those programs up and get Team Affinity points for those programs, because it provides a lot of points actually, and it's well worth doing it. And as you go along through these maps, there are hidden packs and different items you can get, so it's definitely worthwhile doing some of these maps. I'm going to use the Run It Back map as an example though, as it's the newest map and you can repeat it for diamond cards as rewards. So you can finish the map and then start it all over, do it again, get another diamond player, and then so on and so forth. This game plays a lot like Risk. If you don't know how that board game works, I will explain it to you. So first you start out and you've got 4 other teams on the map here. You got the Miami Marlins, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. And you got my team there in the lower left-hand corner of the map. Now, each of those logos is that player's or that team's base, or their stronghold, as you would say. And if you lose your stronghold, that means the game is over. But that rarely happens. I've never had it happen to me in 5 years of playing this game. So the idea is that you want to take over each of these little hexagons. Each of these hexagons, including these, is a territory. And you want to take over all of them. And once you do that, then you get your final reward. You can view your goals for each map by pressing the triangle button. And once you do that, you can see that your only real goals on this map are just to capture the strongholds, conquer the territories, and all that stuff. But if you do other maps, some of them might have requirements where you might have to steal fans. And stealing fans is helpful in the early game when you want to build up your reinforcements. So as you see here, you can toggle your map view to change the logos over to show how many reinforcements you have in a territory. And these reinforcements are used to expand. And at the end of every turn, you'll have reinforcements that you can add to your arsenal, essentially. And you'll get 1 reinforcement for every 3 territories that you own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and expand my territories here by just hitting the X button. And I'm just going to go around and just keep expanding by hitting the X button and moving. And once I get to the point where I run to 0, I will kind of fast forward to show you how the other stages of this game work. Now that I've expanded my team to further on into the map, you can see that it's given me the option in the lower left hand corner to steal fans. At that point, you would press X and you could choose how many fans from another team stronghold that you want to steal. So say you want to steal from the Miami Marlins, you can hit X and then it will tell you that you can choose a difficulty. Now, whichever difficulty you're comfortable with, you can steal that many fans if you win. If you win on Veteran, you can steal 2 million fans. If you win on All-Star, you steal 3 million, and so on and so forth. And if you do that, you'll get more reinforcements to add to your team on the following turn. So I'm going to go ahead and skip because I don't want to play a full game on camera. So I'm going to reinforce, and if you see at the bottom left there, you see that there are 6 reinforcements remaining. So I'm going to add them all to this territory so that I can expand further. I meant to do that. All right, there we go. So I can also move fans from another territory that's connected to, a stronghold. So I've got 7 fans that I could possibly move. I don't have any in my stronghold that I can move. So I'm just going to keep this 7 fans here, hit start, and skip to the attack phase. Now the attack phase is where, again, you're going to expand. So you see that they're trying to expand outward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack one of these territories. Now these territories here that are just in the team's color and not the team's logo, you can go ahead and attack them and simulate them. So you don't actually have to play a game to attack that territory. And since I outnumbered them by so much, I'm gonna win. So if you typically outnumber them by 4 times, you're gonna win most of the time there. And you see here, I am outnumbered 7-5 here, so I don't want to attack them yet. If I attacked them, I would have to play on All-Star. Now typically, if I was playing this, I would be comfortable playing on All-Star. I can beat the computer on All-Star fairly easily, but I'm not going to do that for the purpose of the video. However, I will expand 2 other territories. And since I only have 2 versus 1, I probably don't feel comfortable trying to attack because I'm probably going to lose that battle too. So then I'll skip the steal again. I'm not going to steal. I'm going to reinforce and just keep doing it. And then I'm going to, don't want to move fans. And then I'm just going to attack them here. And then you see that I lost some in the process, but that's okay. Because I'll be able to get through here and I'll just keep expanding. I won't attack them just yet. But the thing is, if you surround their territories, they won't be able to reinforce these other guys out here. So that's a good strategy that I like to use. I just surround each territory and then take out these, and then I'll face the strongholds. Now the thing is, the difficulty that you play the stronghold on is based on how many reinforcements are in the territory that you're trying to attack with. So if I go 6 versus 7, I'm going to have to play against them on All-Star. Now, I believe if you have 1.5 times the number of reinforcements that they have in their territory, then you get to play on Veteran. And if you have 4 times or more, then you get to play it on Rookie. So in order to play this against this territory on Rookie, I would have to have 28 or more reinforcements in my territory, which I believe it would be 29 because it counts 1 because you have to have another in order to take over that space. So I would need, I believe, 29 or more in order to fight this one at 7 to fight it on rookie. But I feel comfortable at veteran. But yeah, so that's the gist of Conquest. If you end up having any questions about Conquest or any of these single player modes, feel free to leave a comment and I'll be happy to answer. Another way that you can play Diamond Dynasty without playing someone online is to play versus the computer. But you can play any computer team and you can adjust the difficulty by pressing L1 and R1. And it's a good way to grind out objectives and get experience for your players to get those parallel levels up. So if you wanted to pitch innings with a certain pitcher, you could go up against the Orioles, who don't have a great defense. They don't have a great anything. And just play against them on rookie and just hit dingers on them all day. Another thing you could do is you could also play players online. Well, not necessarily players online, but you could play other online players' teams without actually playing them. So you can play versus the computer in an extra innings game, but the computer would be using a team that another player is actually constructed. So technically your player is probably out there somewhere and someone else has played against it. So you could play against, yeah, I'm not even going to bother cycling through those logos because some of them can actually end up being inappropriate. But it's another method that you can use to get some practice in and maybe build up your skill. But I would recommend playing against the computer if you're really trying to get more experience points for those players you want to parallel. I mentioned earlier that I'm not very well versed when it comes to the online modes, and there are other YouTube channels that cover this in greater detail and provide daily content when it comes to the online modes, but I'll give you a brief overview. You got ranked seasons where you can actually play against other players one-on-one in order to climb the ranks from spring training up to World Series, and it's based on a point system where it goes by wins and losses, and you can earn players, packs, and perks along the way. There's also Battle Royale mode, where you can draft a 26-man team of cards to build a squad and play in basically a mode where you try not to lose more than 2 games. If you lose 2 games, you're eliminated and you have to start all over. However, if you go 12-0, then you get special cards that nobody else can get unless you finish 12-0. So it's definitely a challenge. It's very frustrating, I've heard, for some people. But if you're really good, you can do it. I mean, it's pretty cool because everybody's on an equal footing because you draft from the same pool of typically the same or similar pool of players. There's also events where teams are themed based on a certain dynamic. Say you can't use a pitcher that's above a bronze, or you can't use gold hitters, or you have to use only power hitters, or something to that effect. And you can earn players by doing those events, and they usually last a few weeks. You can also play online versus friends, and I've done that against my buddy, trying to teach him how to play the game, and he beamed all of my good batters, so great. Yeah, that's fun. Your friends can be jerks. And then you can just kind of play against other people online in a casual game that's not ranked. And that's pretty much it for the gameplay modes of Diamond Dynasty. The next portion of Diamond Dynasty that I'm going to cover is the collections. If you go into your collections, there are several different collections that you can complete. Your starter collections, which are the really easy ones that you can do just as soon as you start the game. As you see, I've completed them all. But the ones that you're going to want to go for to get great players are going to be either your live series collections or your legends and flashbacks. As you collect cards, as you play the game, you'll be able to go in and put together these collections. And as you see on your right hand side, each tier is based on how many players of that type you've collected, and you get the rewards associated with that. So once you hit 10, you get 1,000 stubs, and you get a voucher to get your postseason Mariano Rivera, which is right here, which I've completed. And if you do that, you get the voucher. You put all these vouchers in here, and you get the Mariano Rivera, who's a 99 overall. Now, each type of card, like rookies, future stars, monthly awards, they all have their little subset. So if you want to collect them and get some good players, you can do that. Sometimes it's really hard because some of these cards can get pretty expensive, to be honest with you, and a lot of people don't find them to be worth the effort. But I think that they can be if there's a player that you really like Shohei Ohtani has a 99 overall that you can get by completing the All-Star collection, and it can be very expensive. But as you play the game, you're going to earn stubs and you're going to earn players, so you might end up getting lucky and getting some of those players that you can use to complete that collection. You can also complete the Live Series collection and get all the players from a certain team. And usually at this point in the game, they're pretty cheap to complete, to be honest with you. And they might be worth it, because once you complete a certain team, you might get a 95 overall diamond. You might get some gold players that you might not have early on in the game. And those gold and diamond players are actually typically flashbacks and legends that you can use to complete those other flashback and legend collections. So they can come in handy. But if you don't really care about the collection aspect, then you don't really have to do it. It's not necessary. You can get really good players without collecting cards. You can also do the stadium and uniform collections. Those will get you special stadiums like the classic stadiums. If you do all those, you'll get the Polo Grounds, which is hated by a lot of people because it's just got huge outfield dimensions, but it can be fun. But yeah, there's all sorts of collections that you can do. Some are better than others. It's just up to you to determine what you want to prioritize as far as collections go. If you want to do them at all, you don't really have to. You can enjoy the game without doing the collections. Another thing that you can do is exchanges. We can exchange certain players for certain players of a higher tier. So you can exchange common players for bronze players for silvers, or silver players for golds. I typically only do this early on in the season, just because right now golds are pretty cheap. So earlier on in the game, you can usually get a lot more for your golds, but now you can't really get a whole lot of profit. So it's not really worth doing. But if you really need gold players and you have a bunch of silver players that you can't sell, go ahead. The next aspect of Diamond Dynasty that I'm going to cover is the marketplace and packs. Now, the marketplace is pretty vast. There's a lot of different things that you can purchase and sell on the marketplace. Pretty much everything that you pull from programs, except for the non-sellable cards, you can sell on the marketplace. So you go in here and you can look at your MLB players, and you see it kind of organizes them by 99 overall on down. If you hit the square button, that's where you're going to find your filters, and you can search for players by name, or you can search for them by filtering them out. So say I wanted to go for a silver player. Silver players are typically 75 to 79 overall players. And say I wanted to get one from the Cardinals. So I would just go to the team and go to the Cardinals. It's going to automatically highlight it whenever you arrow left or right on it, and I'm having a hard time finding the Cardinals. There we go. So then you see all of your silver players from the Cardinals. I'm going to put in a buy order for Paul Young. First of all, I'm going to explain how this buy now, sell now system works. It's probably a little convoluted at first just by looking at it, but the way it works is that column to your right where it says buy now is the price that if I wanted to buy that card right now, how much would I pay for it? So you can go to your buy now, sell now options, and you'll see buy now is 295 stubs, 296, 297, 299, and it's automatically going to make you purchase the cheapest one available. Now, if you want to buy it, you can buy it now for 295. However, I recommend never buying at the buy it now price. Instead, you can put in what's called a buy order, where you say this is how much I'm willing to pay for this card. So when you click on it to buy, you don't click buy now at $2.95. Instead, you create a buy order. The cheapest that you can buy a silver player for is 100 stubs. So I'm going to put in 100 stubs, and we'll see how long it takes for that order to complete. So I put in the order for 100 stubs, and I'm just going to go through and kind of explain the rest of the actual marketplace to you while I'm doing this, because I'm pretty sure that order is going to get filled pretty quickly, if I'm being honest with you. At least I hope so, for the sake of this video. Now, when you sell, you can actually, let's see here, I'm going to go through and find another player here. Let's just go ahead and remove this filter for the Cardinals by pressing square. And so you have Jake McGee here for the Giants. And so the buy now is 446 and the sell now is 152, right? So you never want to sell at the sell now. So we just put in an order for that Paul DeJong, which just got completed there for 100 stubs, which actually, you know, we can make a profit off of that. But however, for this example, I'm just going to use Jake McGee because it's easier and I'm already here. So I could sell him now, one of my 3 copies that I have sellable, as you see there above, for 152 stubs. Or the lowest price right now available, if someone were to buy it now, is 446 stubs. Well, I don't want to sell now at 152. I feel like that I'd be taking a loss there. So I'm going to sell, and I'm going to undercut that guy that's at 446. And I'm going to undercut him by like 10 or 15 stubs. So I'm going to say 435. And I guarantee you he's going to sell at 435 stubs. He'll probably sell pretty quickly. So that's the best way to really game the market. So say if I went back to that Paul DeJong that I just bought for 100 stubs, as you see, it's 0 now because the one that I put up has already been bought. So nobody else wants Paul DeJong. I'm the only one that wanted him. So I just bought him for 100 stubs, right? So now I'm going to sell him for 320 stubs. And there's a tax of 10%. So I'm going to get 288 stubs after that tax. So you'll see that I just bought a card for 100 stubs, and I'm going to turn around and make 188 stubs off this card, should it sell. And I'm pretty sure it will. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and sell that, and it'll sell probably in the next few minutes, just like when I bought it. So that's pretty much the gist of the marketplace and how to manipulate it. You always want to never buy at the buy now price. You always want to put in an order for the minimum buy now price. For diamonds, it's going to be 5,000 stubs. For silvers, it's going to be 100. For golds, it's going to be 1,000. Now, typically, I'll put in a little bit higher than 100. So if I'm buying a silver, I'll put in an order for 112 stubs just so they don't get kind of messed over by the tax. Because if they sell it now for 100, they're only going to get 90 stubs back, which they could quick sell it for 100 stubs. So there's also quick selling in the game. So say you want to go to your collection here and you want to go to your inventory and you got a diamond player here. Well, I can't sell him, but you can view him in the market, right? So you can quick sell, and you can quick sell a card, and diamonds quick sell for 5,000. However, if you go to the market and you see that he's selling for 6,500, you'll want to sell him on the market for 6,500. However, if he's showing that he's selling now for 5,000, you probably don't want to waste your time with that because you're going to lose stubs. So you might as well quick sell them for 5,000 instead of selling them on the market for 5,000 and then getting the tax taken off and having to get, 4,500 and losing out on 500 stubs like that. Hopefully that's clear. If it's not, you can always ask in the comments. I'm happy to answer. But that's just kind of the gist of the marketplace. As far as packs go, I would not recommend buying packs, especially at this point in the game, just because A, they're expensive for what you get. You don't ever make your money back off of packs. If you want to just buy some to rip open because it's fun, go ahead. If you've got the stubs to do it, have fun. But I wouldn't recommend it because you earn a lot playing Conquest. I would just say play Conquest as much as you can. You will earn so many packs, and you will earn packs in your programs, in your inning programs, your player programs, your daily moments. All that stuff will give you packs. So you will have more packs than you know what to do with. And if you buy a bunch of silver players on the market by just putting in a bunch of orders for 100 stubs on one player, you'll be able to buy packs you'll be able to earn packs in those Team Affinity programs, and you won't have any problems with packs. I mean, by the time I was done just putting the silver players in those exchanges, I had hundreds of packs. So I would just recommend doing that because you'll just not spend as much money because each pack's going to cost you a minimum of 1,500 stubs, and that's just ridiculous for what you get. You're only going to get a gold, which might sell for 1,000 one in every 10 packs if you're lucky. But like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'm happy to answer your questions. A new player to Diamond Dynasty might still be overwhelmed by everything that's available, all the different game modes. So your first question might be to ask where to start. Well, my best recommendation would be to do either some moments and do tops now moments to get you some diamond players on your team so that the Conquest games become a lot easier. Or just jump into Conquest. If you feel confident in your ability, go to Conquest, do the run it back Conquest, and just get you diamond players that way. But I would just do your daily moments, do your tops now moments, and then do this run it back program, because you're going to get free packs anyway for doing this. Or you could actually just fill all of these blank hexagons up and then just take all these red ones out without actually ever playing a game and getting the free hidden packs along the way. And you can do that in every map. It's going to take you a few hours to do, but you can do that. You can just go ahead and fill out all these empty hexagons without even fighting the teams and get your hidden packs. That's a good way to get your team boosted right away. But it's just a huge investment of time. It just depends on how much time you want to put into it. But that's what I would recommend, is doing those tops now moments, maybe doing this run it back program. Just do those, and you'll get diamond players. And if you can work the auction house, if you start out with a few thousand stubs, just flip some silver or gold players, and try to get you some stubs that way. Find you a card that has a big gap between the buy now and sell now price, and get you some good stubs in there. That's the best thing that I could recommend. And that's typically, that's the best way to go, in my opinion. Any year that you play Conquest, usually, or Diamond Dynasty, Conquest is usually the best way to go to get your rewards. And that's where I'm going to conclude this video. If you like the music that's playing in the background, it's actually done by my friend. It's one of his projects that he has with a friend, and it's called La Taiga, and they're out of Portland, Oregon. So if you like retro inspired music, it's really good to chill to, or even play video games to. Go check them out. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll also put a little information at the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.